All right. Hey, guess what? This is just an impromptu something to deal with the protest out in Golden Grove and the police brutality, the the manner in which the police going about doing their job these days has become rather questionable. So we will be dealing with this as maybe for the next half hour or so. So spread the link, share the word, and let's just get ready to talk about the situation in Guyana, apart from the cost of living and the police brutality and all these manner of things. So spread the word. This bit of clip compliments of Travis Chase is where the acting commissioner of police visited the folks, the relatives of Bacchus, who was murdered under questionable circumstances. And I do say murdered under questionable circumstances recently. So the acting commissioner of police visited the home, the relatives of Mr. Bacchus, the late Bacchus. I don't know what was discussed, but we are seeing these frequent visits by senior operatives of the Guyana Police Force as a result of police shootings, police brutality, extrajudicial killings, and all these manner of things. And those of you who remember those very, very dark days when mothers were left in tears, fathers and children had to bury their loved ones, their youngsters. We're seeing signs of those dark days again. So do share the link. I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Watch this clipping here of Acting Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken visited the family this morning. In fact, just minutes ago. Again, this video clip is compliments of Travis Chase. We'll have you guys take a look, and we'll be right back, and I'll offer my opinion on it shortly.
Good. Audio test. 1, 2, 3. Ready? Audio 1, 2. Okay. Test 1, 2. Mr. Commissioner, not talking about investigation, but could you tell us what was the message you brought here this morning to the family?
That there will be an impartial investigation, and police complaint authority will be investigating.
Mistaken for the public's sake, can you confirm that the officer is indeed under close arrest and not at home as some are suggesting? Thank you, sir. Drakes. And receive the excuse me, sir. All right, so I understand that the acting commissioner is going to approach the crowd.
Everybody can hear me?
So just want to get to the front.
So you won't be able to hear. If you don't calm down, you won't be able to hear. Good. Relative. I was talking to the brief family, and I can tell you, I told them that there will be an impartial investigation. The police complaint authority will be investigating this matter. That's a body that was constituted to deal with matters of this nature. The police will have no interference. I told the family that, and I'm telling you this. Thank you.
Excuse, where is the guy present?
And also the Ghana, it was also right.
All the video you are watching, I started to investigate this matter so deep.
Where the guy
With
right
all
now?
the guy who wants to
No, the police will not be investigating the matter. The police complaint authority.
Will be investigating by the police.
All right, let's pause there for a moment. That was moments ago. Sorry. We want to break things. I want to break things down for you, how it operates in Guyana as it pertains to police brutality, police shootings. Now, the acting commissioner of police said there moments ago that the police will not have anything to do with the investigations. I want to comment on that aspect. Again, the commissioner of police acting said, that's Clifton Hicken, has said moments ago that the police will have nothing to do with the investigations and that the investigations will be impartial. That is not entirely true because the agency that will be investigating this police shooting and the extrajudicial killing of that young man, Bacchus. Again, let me break it down for you. Repeating what the acting top cop said, that the police will have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the investigations. Again, I want to say that it is not entirely true. Now, the agency that will be conducting this supposed impartial investigations is housed in the police compound at Ivlery. Well, it was burnt recently, a couple months after the Orrin Boston's murder. You know, you guys remember Orrin Boston was murdered by a member of the Guyana Police Force or members of the Guyana Police Force. Folks were crying out for justice. The relatives of Orrin Boston and friends out in Essequibo were crying out for justice. They weren't getting justice. And after that, we heard that the agency that was supposed to be investigating that matter was burned down. The Office of Professional Responsibility, OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility. That is the office that is supposed to be conducting an impartial investigations. And now we have had issues with that for years now, because every police shootings have to be investigated by the Office of Professional Responsibility. And we have argued, meaning activists, on the ground, we have argued that that is an unfair investigation, that it is not impartial. And I'll explain to you guys further why it's not an impartial agency, why any police shootings and killings are not necessarily impartial, as what the Commissioner of Police just said. The acting Commissioner of Police just said that there will be an impartial investigations into this latest police killing of this young man, Bacchus. I'll explain to you why this investigations is not going to be impartial.
No interference. I told the family that, and I'm telling you this. Thank you.
Excuse, where is the guy present? And
Also, the Ghana is good as well, right? Everybody can hear me?
See now, so just want to get to the front.
You won't be able to hear. If you don't calm down, you won't be able to hear. Good. Relative. I've spoken to the brief family, and I can tell you, I told them that there will be an impartial investigation. The police complaint authority will be investigating this matter. That's a body that was constituted to deal with matters of this nature. The police will have no interference. I told the family that, and I'm telling you this. Thank you.
excuse, where is the guy present? And also the Ghana,
all the video you are watching, I investigate this matter so deep.
where the guy
With all the video that you are watching,
No, the police will not be investigating the matter. The police complaint authority
will be investigating while the police make an arrest.
What did the police arrest him?
Make an arrest.
the police came out and they can't jump.
all the evidence that you find, sir.
Yep, usually what we find in Guyana, and it's probably in the Caribbean or maybe other parts of the world as well, is too many folks want to speak at the same time. I understand that people need answers. They are frustrated. Family members and friends need justice. But sometimes it does us no good when 5-10 persons shouting on the top of their voices to speak at the same time. It doesn't work out well. However, that young man, I believe, in the white hat, is the uncle of the deceased, the uncle of the young man who was murdered by members of the Guyana police force. Of course, he's frustrated. Of course, he wants justice for his nephew. Of course, he wants answers. And of course, he wants to see those who are culpable to face the law. Sorry. We're getting some other messages coming in about the fact that the people are not, relatives are not convinced that there will be justice. Let us hope that that's not the case. There ought to be justice. There should be no covering up. But let's hear what the acting commissioner of police has to say in response to this young man, this guy in the white hat, who I'm told is the uncle of the deceased.
The police complaint authority will need us. And so the investigation.
You know the same guy that the same guy that shoot first time that shoot Quindon. You know that he and Quindon had a beef in James Bond that he go shoot Quindon
in the investigation. So
and next police officer
no, just
all right, let's stop there again. And sorry that I'm pausing it so that we can do a proper assessment of what has really transpired. You heard there just a few seconds ago this man in the white hat, who happens to be, again, I'm told, the uncle of the deceased. He's now saying that one of the police, so-called undercover policemen who did the shooting, had a past interaction, bad vibes, so to speak, with Quinton. This is not the first time we're hearing this after police shootings and killings. We heard the same with the Orrin Boston situation, that there was a bad vibe going on between Mr. Boston and another policeman. And now we're hearing the same tune again. It appears as though, now I don't have all the facts in this particular case, so I just can't run ahead to say that I'm presenting facts to you, but is what this uncle of the deceased just said, that one of the policemen who was involved in the shooting had a previous altercation with the deceased. That's what we're hearing now. If that is the case, it is consistent with what we have heard in the past. And oftentimes these police ranks, they go out and they take revenge. I don't know if this is a case of revenge. I don't know if this is a case of some bad deal that the police felt that he would have gotten from the deceased, because, and I say bad deal, not that the deceased has been into anything bad, because there's no report that he is a bad guy. The reports suggest that Mr. Bacchus was a hardworking, honest young man. Now, the allegations about selling a little gun and all these matters, I don't buy that. I'm not buying that. But again, like I've said, I don't want to give my mouth liberty. Let us hear what the people have to say, and then we'll be able to put two and two together in this puzzle.
Just avail yourself to give this type of information in writing, and so it can aid
On Saturday, that the police are shooting in the village, people is shopping in the market, kids are chilling in the street, and then shooting where the next police officer. Why these things was happening in this country? In this country, Guyana, why these things was happening?
The Afro-Guyanese community.
It's not supposed to be happening. Why these things supposed to be happening? Police shooting behind the next police.
All right, pause again. Something that's very important that was said there by the young lady. The young lady is asking the question, why are all these shootings, for the most part, are occurring in only African Guyanese community? That's a good question, and I'm sure that the Commissioner of Police acting will wiggle his way out and away from that question.
Why these things was happening in this country? In this country, Guyana, why these things was happening?
The Afro-Guyanese community.
It's not supposed to be happening. Why these things supposed to be happening? Police shooting behind the next police officer.
I've been going around to all the communities to build a bridge between the public and the community. I'm gonna leave
No, it's not a public infrastructure and behavior. We listening.
All right.
We out there. And we asking of what present.
I'm gonna leave my
We acting
number.
like where the guy at present.
Which guy?
Who shot Quinlan?
The police is on close arrest.
Close the rest where? At home or the at home?
At home or at the police station?
At home. Alright, hold on. Yes.
I'm gonna leave my number so you can make contact with me.
Yeah.
And we can 600 600
Yeah. 600.
600-90-19.
Chicken is my name. I know you're fat.
All right, here's another error. Here is another error in this investigations. Now, the acting commissioner of police has said moments ago that this will be an impartial investigation. In other words, it's out of the hands of the police. If the matter is impartial or going to be impartial, as the acting top cop suggested, then no one should be issuing any statement to the commissioner of police. It's simple, as simple as that. So the commissioner of police leaving his number and suggesting that that eyewitness may contact with him or other eyewitnesses is not the way it should be done. Now, this guy, Hicken, has been a police officer. He's now acting top cop. He has been on the force for almost 3 decades, or maybe over 3 decades. Could be shorter than that. He should know better that in the case of an impartial police investigation, that he ought not to be taking any statements, or he ought not to be meeting with any witness as it pertains to, especially in this case now, this investigations. There should be a high-level team of investigators from the OPR, which is the Office of Professional Responsibility. It is now in their hands. They are the ones who ought to be taking all statements from witnesses in this case, not the commissioner of police.
I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Keep it on the So the Commissioner of Police is promising an investigation, a thorough investigation external from the police, but there is a barrage of protesters flocking the police here.
All right, I've noticed some of your comments, and they are straight to the point. And oftentimes, when we speak of this, people get angry, right? People who are supposed to be out there doing their job, they get angry about the situation. And then they come up with frivolous excuses as to why they did not partake in any form of protest because they don't want it to appear political. Oftentimes, that's the response that you will get from the politicians who should be there on the ground with the people. And look out for that. We don't want it to appear political. Well, this is political. Police shootings ought to receive a political response and a political protest. It happens all over the world. And so I don't want to be here or to hear from any politician, especially in the opposition, to say that they took a hands-off approach because they don't want it to appear as political. Well, on the ground, I don't know if the leader of the opposition, Mr. Aubrey Norton, visited this family as yet, visited the area as yet. I don't know. I don't know whether the Shadow Minister of Home Affairs, Ms. Geeta Chandan, has visited the area with a team. I just don't know. However, the fact that I haven't seen anything suggests that there has not been any visit. And since there has not been, or if there was any visit, then maybe the opposition PR sucks. But we haven't seen anything at all. Again, and I'll check my email now to see whether I missed any statement coming out of the coalition, coming out of the PNCR or the coalition. We're not going to hear anything from the AFC. We're not going to see Ramjatan in that area. We probably may not see any from the AFC in this area, especially when it comes to police brutality and all these manner of things. But the usual case is when you speak, they get vexed. And so, Ms. Casey, your question is a legitimate question. It is a question that that is lingering on the minds of many Guyanese. And sometimes and oftentimes they get frustrated when our elected officials, so to speak, those who have been elected to represent the people, are not representing the people for the most part. And a lot of these folks believe that sitting on social media is the only form of representation, and that people must accept that form of representation because they just have nothing, no other proper representation to offer. We'll go back to this tape, the acting commissioner of police. And I do believe that the acting commissioner of police did the right thing to visit because the people need answers. But the question is, how often are they going to be visiting the scenes of these sort of shootings and police brutality and offering empty promises. And then 1 week after, 2 days after, whatever, the police, the trigger-happy police, are back with their own tricks, their old tricks, so to speak, of brutalizing people. Some of the police are using their guns and their uniforms to protect known criminals, drug lords, money launderers, and so forth and so on. It's got to stop. At some point in time, it has got to stop. And the relatives of Mr. Backus need justice. It is my honest opinion, and I'll get to the OPR, which is the Office of Police Professional Responsibility. That office was housed in Police Compound, Ivlery. That's the police headquarters. Now, how can you expect people to feel that there will be some sort of justice when you have to go into a police compound to complain about a police? And when you walk into that office of police responsibility to complain about a police officer, and you have to sit there with a police officer to complain about another police officer, and then some of the other staff members there, because that agency is headed by not an independent individual, but that agency has always been headed by a former senior police officer. So when Mr. Hickens said that this will be an impartial investigation, that is not entirely true. And therefore, I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from. The family members of Mr. Backus, the deceased, they have to now give all of their reports. The witnesses now have to give all of their reports to members, to serving members and past members of the Guyana Police Force. And now I ask you this question: is that an impartial investigation? That's all I'm asking. I'll look at some of your comments. Is that an impartial investigation when the police, who make up majority of the members of the Office of Professional Responsibility, and again, that agency is headed by a former senior police officer, to investigate misconducts and shootings of police, serving police member? Would you guys have faith in such a system? Would you guys have confidence in such a so-called impartial investigations? I'll look at your comment while you listen again to the acting top cop, Clifton Hicken.
1, 2, 3. You good? Audio test. 1, 2, 3. Ready? Audio 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Mr. Commissioner, we're not talking about investigation, but could you tell us what was the message you brought here this morning to the family?
That there will be an impartial investigation and will be
Mistaken for the public's sake, can you confirm that the officer is indeed under close arrest and not at home as some are suggesting? Thank you, sir. Drakes. And you see the excuse me, sir. All right, so I understand that the acting commissioner is going to approach the crowd. See now, so just want to get to the front.
You won't be able to hear. If you don't calm down, you won't be able to hear. Good. Relative. I was talking to the brief family, and I can tell you, I told them that there will be an impartial investigation.
All right, let's pause here for a moment. There will be, according to the acting top cop, an impartial investigations. Again, I repeat, how impartial can that investigations be when the police at the Office of Professional Responsibility, because that office is majority, of its members are serving members of the Guyana Police Force and former members of the Guyana Police Force. And it is headed by a senior former officer of the Guyana Police Force. And so there isn't much confidence. Now, there are times that they appear to be fair. There are times, mind you, and I've dealt with that agency on numerous occasions. And so I'm not speaking off the top of my head. I know what happens there. I know what individuals have gone through there. I know how people feel about that agency. I know their perception about that agency. I know their reluctance of that agency, especially when they have to walk. Imagine relatives of victims, police, victims of police have to walk into that police compound. They have to be escorted. Sorry. Sorry about that. They have to be escorted to the police Office of Police Responsibility by senior police officers or police officers with big guns. Now, when they're going into that office, escorted by a police with big guns, enter the office, and only to be interviewed by serving members and former members of the Guyana Police Force about their colleagues. How impartial is that? This, mind you, is not a situation where, as in the case of the US, internal affairs and so forth, you can have much trust and confidence in internal affairs in the US, but that agency is highly suspect. And so for the acting commissioner of police to say or to convey the impression that the agency is so impartial and that people will get justice, people have not gotten justice. And as I have said, I've been dealing with that agency for over 20 years. And so I know the happenings. I know what goes on inside of that agency. I know of the cover-ups and all manner of things. Now, the acting top cop also answered a question as it pertains to the alleged police shooter, whether that police is under close arrest or not. Close arrest is also a joke. Oftentimes they say to members of the public that an officer is under close arrest. Now, the definition of close arrest simply means that the officer usually is placed at the TSU section. In fact, right where that guard hut is, as you go into police headquarters, that is where, for the most part, ranks from Georgetown and so forth, they are placed. There's a holding cell there. And the policeman would have to be there, guarded by other members of the police force. And in a lot of situations, that is not the case. Now, unless the Commissioner of Police acting is willing to show the media the evidence that this alleged policeman, the policeman who allegedly killed Bacchus, is actually under close arrest, then we can believe. Outside of that, it can just be all talks. Now, if this undercover cop was there with other undercover cops, then why is it only this particular cop is under close arrest? Unless I've gotten the story wrong. That if there's a shooting and an individual has died during that police shooting, then you just don't place one policeman under close arrest. You place all of the police officers who were part and parcel of that shooting incident. You place them under close arrest and you investigate them. And then you make a further determination after the investigations who will be removed from close arrest or who will remain under close arrest. I don't know whether this is the case or not. I have seen earlier where right there in Golden Grove, the people are protesting. The people are calling for justice. And guess what happened? One of the policemen that was actually involved in the shooting at the market in Golden Grove, I believe. The Golden Grove market, the residents identified a shooter, a police as one of those who was shooting indiscriminately in the market. And he had to be escorted away from the scene. Now, common sense will dictate. No matter how you try to disguise yourself, the people will recognize you. And whoever made that decision to put that policeman right there in the midst of people, after hours ago he was allegedly involved in a shooting incident, tells a lot of the Guyana police force. In any other country, maybe that policeman would have not walked away without a scratch. And now I'm not saying people should beat policemen and all these sort of things. I'm not saying that. But that policeman is lucky to have walked away without a scratch. I say kudos to the people of Golden Grove and Haslington area and so forth who went out there, who are still out there protesting. Kudos to them for restraining themselves. Kudos. That is what you call peaceful protest.
Spoken to the brief family, and I can tell you, I told them that there will be an impartial investigation. The police complaint authority will be investigating this matter. That's a body that was constituted to deal with matters of this nature. The police will have no interference. I told the family that, I'm telling you this. Thank you.
Excuse me, is the guy present?
Remember the house on the corner is Brutus so right?
All the video you are watching, I started investigate this matter so deep.
Where the guy is?
With all the video that you watch, this matter.
No, the police will not be investigating the matter. The police complaint authority
will be investigating about the police make an arrest.
What did the police arrest him?
Make an arrest.
Police came out of the catch
all the evidence that you're finding, the police complaint authority will need that. And so the investigation commenced.
You know the same guy that the same guy that shoot Christoph that shoot Quindon. You know that Ian Quindon had a beef in James Bond that he go shoot Quindon.
In the investigation. So
and
avail
next police
yourself.
officer insists.
No, just avail yourself to give these type of information in writing, and so it can aid in.
What happened Saturday?
On Saturday, that the police are shooting in the village. People are shopping in the market, kids are shooting in the street, and they're shooting by the next police officer. Why this was why these things are happening in this country? In this country, Guyana, why these things are happening?
The Afro-Guyanese community.
It's not supposed to be happening. Why these things supposed to be happening? Police shooting behind the next police officer.
I've been going around to all the communities to build a bridge between the public and the community. I'm going to leave.
No, it's not a public infrastructure and behavior. We listening.
All right.
We out there.
All I'm
And
saying,
we asking of what present.
I'm gonna leave my
We asking
number.
like where the guy at present.
Which guy?
Who shot Quinlan?
The police is under close arrest. Pending the
Close
completion of
arrest
the
where?
investigation.
At home or the at home?
Home or you have a police station?
At home. Alright, hold on. Wait, hold on. Hold on.
I'm gonna leave my number so you can make contact with me.
Yeah.
And we can 600
What happened?
600
Yeah. 600.
30
The number of forever ring out. 600.
Zero.
The number of forever ring out. 600.
90
19. 600. 3019.
Chicken is my name. Right? Chicken.
Whoever you can get a number that come themselves up.
I know you're calling me a different name. That's so many.
Yeah.
I know that.
Give it touch it.
We want justice. We want justice.
Again, we had some slight technical problems there. My apologies. And the point that should be made is that the people of Haslington, the people of Golden Grove, ought to be saluted. They're brave, they're out there, they're seeking justice. But I'm waiting to see or hear who will be the first culprit to describe them as hooligans, to describe them as, what is it they usually call them, criminals, and all these sort of things, because of all these people are doing, are standing up for their rights and are seeking, calling out for justice. They want justice, right? And so notice they're not burning roads, they're not blocking roads, they're not burning tires, they're not doing none of those things, right? And even if they were to do that, in my opinion, it is legitimate. But neither am I saying that they should do that. I'm sitting here. I'm not suggesting what they should do, but I'm saying that they ought to be congratulated for conducting themselves within the confines of the law and within their constitutional rights. This is not to say that if they block roads and so forth, that there's anything illegal about that. Because if other groups of individuals are allowed to do that in the name of justice and are not being described in derogatory terms, then others also have that right to do it. As we speak, the folks in Haslington have started their protest as well. I'm waiting to see whether the leadership of the coalition will make their presence there. I'm waiting to see specifically whether the leader of the opposition is going to drop what he's doing to be out there, because no other meeting right now is more important than this meeting with the people. I'm waiting to see whether the Shadow Minister of Home Affairs, Ms. Geeta Chandan, and we haven't been seeing much of her recently. She happens to be also, apart from a member of Parliament, she is the General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform. We need to see more of her. We need to see more of MPs out there. And we can't just hear, as I have said earlier, we cannot just hear and accept that this, and oftentimes this is the excuse that is unacceptable in any struggle, that I don't want the coalition folks to say that the reason they are not out there, essentially, because their favorite word is essentially, is that the people must be given that opportunity to protest and stand up for their rights. And so they, the politician, said that, look, they're not going to go right now. Let the people do their thing because they don't want people to, or the PPP to interpret it as political interference. Now, what trash is that? I'm not saying that that is what they've said, mind you, but that is oftentimes an excuse in as to why they have not shown themselves there. Um, Political shootings or police shootings, sorry, is political. It needs a political response to it. You can't leave it on the residents to respond alone. You, as elected officials, are being paid to stand up and represent your constituency, represent your people, represent people in general who are seeking justice. It ought to happen. And there should be no excuse as to why it has not happened as yet. There should be no frivolous excuse about you do not want the PPP to interpret it as a political matter. To hell with how the PPP interpret things. To hell with the PPP. Why are you doing things based on how the PPP feels? The PPP does things and they don't give a damn as to how people feel. So those in the opposition have to stop thinking what the PPP thinks or what the PPP will think or what the overseas folks and the ambassadors and all of these things folks will think. At the end of the day, their thinking is not necessarily in keeping with calling and expecting justice for the family. Because we have seen and we have seen the silence of many of these individuals. It appears that they don't give a damn. They're not going to issue a statement of concerning the increased police brutality, police shootings, human rights violations, and all these manner of things in the country. We're not going to see or hear these sort of joint statements at all. And one is left to ask this particular question. Is it because of the ethnicity of the individuals, the victims? The ethnicity of the victims is like nobody gives a damn, and people just have to go out into the streets and seek justice for themselves, and no one really cares. And then on the other hand, we're hearing that, the opposition who ought to have boots on the ground, we're not seeing that level of boots at all on the ground. It is as though those who are in the leadership category of the coalition, of the opposition, are afraid to go out and put boots on the ground. So in other words, they prefer that the people must put on their boots and the people must fight for themselves. The people must fight for their own justice. I don't know. I don't accept that as proper political representation. And the kind of docile attitude and mentality that we're seeing now, especially coming from our leaders, leaves a lot of question marks. And I don't want to hear that somebody in the diplomatic circle said that there should be no protest and people should quiet down, and then they're going to install whomever they want to install in the next election. So let's stay quiet. Let's not protest. Let's not have no boots on the ground and these manner of things. And then the excuses as to why people should not protest. That when we protest, the PPP gonna plant somebody in there and the PPP gonna make things look bad. All manner of excuses you're hearing, all because they either don't know how to put boots on the ground, or they either don't want to put boots on the ground, or they just follow the instructions of some foreign diplomat or diplomats who do not want boots on the ground. Because most times when they have boots on the ground in a country, the foreign diplomats have to work hard. They have to report back to their base. Hey, what is happening here? And so the diplomats, all of them want a quiet country. So if they could get all of the politicians who are involved and quiet them down, whether it is those who are part of the installed regime, whether those who are leadership, within the leadership of the coalition, to tell them, shh, and be quiet and everything will be okay. I don't know. I just don't know. But I've seen some comments, though, with people who are now saying, hey, look at what's happening in Haslington. Look at what is happening in Golden Grove. Boots on the ground. It's boots on the ground by the people who are frustrated, by the people who want justice. On the ground, there should have been a political leader who will be marching with those people from Golden Grove and from Haslington and march to Georgetown looking for justice in front of the office of the president to ask the installed president, Irfan Ali, who loves to parade around and hug his friend Maya and talk about one Guyana and all these manner of things. Force them to make a response. Force them to say something, because they're not going to say something. Have you heard anything about from Irfan about this shooting? Do you usually hear anything from them? You don't. But all you get from these vagabonds, especially the recent remarks that we've been hearing from Ropes and Ben about watch list and all these manner of things, that is all they're concerned about. They're not concerned about you, the citizens of the country. They're not concerned about justice for you. Look at all the fishermen who are still missing. Look at that recent case with the fisherman from Alverston Village under quarantine. Kalitran Mohabir, still missing. Not a word, not a concern coming from the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Zulfakan Mustafa. Not a word at all from any one of them in this installed regime. They've given out cash grants to fishermen, suddenly fishermen with no engine in the boat. They got 5, 6 workers, all of them gone now to get their cash grants, $150,000. Now you can't blame them. People will go and grab the money. I can't blame them. I'm not blaming them, mind you. But who has ever thought of going and visit the fishermen who are still missing so that their families can receive the cash grant as well? Kalitran Mohabir's family can get the cash grant as well. And those are the fishermen who are still missing to this day. And the regime, like these guys, they're still missing. But no one cares. No one in the regime is concerned about these people. Absolutely no one. But nobody's talking about these sort of things. No one. Is this the one Guyana they're talking about? I don't know. I just don't know. But Ropes and Ben and all of them are concerned about one so-called businessman whose name might be floating around in sorted law enforcement quarters in the U.S. Maybe in court cases and all these things, various allegations. He's now saying that, look, he wants to clear his name. He wants Ropes and Ben to help him clear his name. And Ropes and Ben is in no position to clear anybody's name. None whatsoever. No position at all. But the point I'm making is that these are the things these guys are concerned about. Nothing else. Not this, not justice. Have you seen the so-called Minister of Home Affairs visiting family members, visiting this community, visiting with them? No. Is he going to visit them? No, he's not going to visit them. I'll be surprised if he visits them. Maybe he'll go now. I'll be surprised. But if the leader of the opposition is going to take time out of his busy schedule and probably hop in a vehicle with the guy who was elected, and not surprising at all that he was elected back as leader of the AFC, Kemraj Ramjatan, that they can move in together in Haslington and Golden Grove right now to be with the people. Are they going to do that? I wouldn't be surprised if Aubrey hits the ground and go there for a few minutes. But I'll be surprised if Ramjatan goes. Now let's deal with this quickly, this Gladwin Abdullah. And now we're talking about justice. People are crying out for justice. And every time we speak out on behalf of individuals who are crying out for justice, this is what they jump up and they say, the trench crappos. Now look at this, whomever he is, Gladwin Abdullah, Benchcroft. It's actually Ben Scott, right? Not unless Abdullah is into witchcraft, that he thought for a moment that that is what he was engaging in. But anyways, he says we need unity. There we go. There we go. What I'm talking about here today, according to the likes of Gladwin Abdullah, is not unity, right? Every time we try to seek justice, especially for persons of African descent, it is not unity, right? It is not unity for these crosses. And then look, life is so sweet and short, we must unite for one Guyana. So what I am saying here, calling out and standing on the side of these with these folks who are seeking justice, according to this trench crapple, is Benchcraft is not preaching unity. He continued, please do not incite. And look how he spelled incite, mind you, I-N-S-I-T. Well, we could understand now what's going on in his mind. Incite chaos. Look at chaos. To incite chaos. Now, where on this live broadcast there's any evidence of disunity, there's any evidence of incitement or anything, all we've been talking about here thus far is justice for family members. Justice, that is all. But we cannot seek justice. We cannot talk about justice. We cannot embrace individuals who are seeking justice. We cannot do that. It is being interpreted as creating chaos and incitement and all manner of things. But you know what? Let us say for a moment that this family was a family of East Indian ancestry. Then it would not have been disunity. It would not have been incitement. Then Ben Sharp would not have been Benchcraft, but he would have been Mr. Ben Sharp. Keep up the good work. We like what you're doing, and we thank you for joining with this family and seeking justice for them. It would have been that. I've experienced that on many occasions. But because these people are who they are, look at them. We know who they are, persons of African descent. And here it is that I have a live show dealing specifically with this issue. You're hearing Benchcraft. We need unity. Well, look, witchcraft, Abdullah. If you need unity, pick up the phone and call your president. Pick up the phone and call Irfan Ali. Pick up the phone and call Irfan Ali and tell him that you need unity, right? Pick up the phone and call other elements of the installed PPP regime and tell them to stop inciting. Tell them to and spell incite correctly this time around, please. Witchcraft, Abdullah, right? Do that. Again, I just pointed this out because that is how they are. You know, when we talk the other side, when we present facts and truth to you guys, guess what? We are being called all manner of things, right? We are racist, we are this, we are that, we don't want unity. They do that all the time, and they have a pattern in doing that. Look at how they describe Burke. Burke has his own style. We all have our own style. Look how they describe individuals. Look how they describe Sharon Duncan. Look how they describe others, Gavin Matthews and so forth, right? Just look, it's a pattern. It seems to be a disease with these individuals, a disease that they just can't control their hormones, they can't control their bumps, and all these manner of things. All these manner of things, right? So we got to shut up. And because we refuse to shut up, we're being put on watch list and all manner of things as though it makes us tremble, right? Like we're trembling. Look, Gladwin, Witchcraft, Abdullah, take some time out to read, take some time out to understand issues. Don't come here and INSITE. Don't do that at all. But we thank you, though, for at least taking time out to watch and to understand what is going on right here. And let me remind you, sir, that on the 19th, that is coming up this weekend, please do take some time out take some time out to watch the report from Vice News, of which your folks them in the install regime will have a lovely time with that report on Vice News. In the meantime, since it's a beautiful Tuesday morning, well, it's heading into afternoon now. Well, is it Tuesday? Sorry, it's Monday. Sorry about that. Monday. Uh, take your award, Mr. Abdullah. You deserve this. And I'm not INSITE. It's not insight. I'm not doing that, sir. This award is for you. With love from all of us. That's for Witchcraft Abdullah. Witchcraft Abdullah. You sit, we talk, we try to get to the bottom of situations, we try to ensure that we get justice. And for us, justice is not, for me, it has always been, justice is not blind. I've been there at every race. Call out for justice, I am there. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter. But for these types, the witchcraft types, Abdullah is as though we can't speak up. We just have to turn a blind eye to these sort of injustices and pretend as though it never happened, right? And because we do not do that and we want justice, we are bad people. We don't want a unified Guyana. We are creating chaos, all manner of things we do, right? We are accustomed to that by now. We are accustomed to that level of ignorance coming from witchcraft. Witchcraft Abdullah. Witchcraft Abdullah. All right, so hey, guess what? I'm told that the protest is in Haslington. And what else is happening? Cost of living, right? Witchcraft Abdullah. Cost of living has gone up. Imagine oil, gasoline from Guy Oil is expensive now. Imagine, I've noticed Melvin posted something about sugar. Sugar price used to be about 200 something or whatever. It's 300 and something dollars now. Sugar, we're supposed to be producing sugar, right? And sugar is expensive in Guyana. Rice, expensive in Guyana, right? I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is supposed to be a one Guyana. This is supposed to be a beautiful Guyana, according to Air Finale, right? We all question this one Guyana propaganda crap, right? Now, rice expensive, we're producing rice. Sugar is expensive, we're producing sugar. Of course, sugar has gotten bitter compliments of the PPP regime. They have killed the sugar industry. It's in ICU. The coalition attempted to rescue the sugar industry, right? So rice expensive in Guyana. And as they would say, Abia produce rice and rice dear. Abia produce sugar and sugar bitter, sugar expensive. And guess what? Abia produce oil. And oil is expensive in Guyana. Guy oil, gasoline price gone right up. Right up, gasoline price gone. They're going to say, but the world market and because of the war between Ukraine and Russia, they're going to say all manner of things, but price gone up. They gone up. Just a couple of days, President Biden said that ExxonMobil, oil companies are making a killing, too much profits, and they're not pumping the oil. Because when they don't pump the oil prices go up. I think President Biden is on to something. But when we stand up, Guyanese stand up and they want a fair share, yes, politicians have made their mistakes in terms of getting a fair share. Across the board, politicians have made that mistake. So don't get me wrong. But the bulk of the mistakes lies in the hands of the PPP regime. They made a bunch of blunders. They've given away oil blocks worth billions of dollars to friends and cronies. Remember what Donald Ramotar did just prior to the 2015 elections? He gave away oil blocks. Gave away oil blocks to friends and cronies. Friends and cronies. Let's get back to this protest for a quick minute, and I'll be back with more of what's happening, really. Let's have Lemon go back to where Mr. Hicken. Here we go, the acting top cop.
Good. Relatives. I have spoken to the brief family, and like I'm going to tell you, I told them that there will be an impartial investigation. The police complaint authority will be investigating this matter. That's a body that was constituted to deal with matters of this nature. The police will have no interference. I told the family that, and I'm telling you this. Thank you.
Excuse, where is the guy present?
Remember the house of the Guyana is good as well, right?
All the video you are watching, I investigate this matter so deep.
Where the guy
With all the video that you are watching, this matter still got
No, the police will not be investigating the matter. The police complaint authority
will be investigating about the police make an arrest.
What did the police arrest him?
Make an arrest.
All right. Welcome back. We have with us the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Aubrey Compton Norton is with us. Mr. Norton, good afternoon, and thanks for taking time out to be with us. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Good afternoon, and to you and your listening and viewing audience.
Thank you, sir. Quickly, we're dealing with the situation with the shooting, the police killing of this young man Bacchus out there in Golden Grove. The people are out there protesting and so forth. Quickly, your position on what has happened there to that young man.
First of all, I'm heading to Golden Grove shortly. Well, the first thing I want to say is that if you create an environment in which policemen believe they can execute African Guyanese youth and get away with it, things like this will emerge. Their handling of the Henry's Boys case is an indication that they are not serious and they are going to treat these issues not with the level of importance that they should be treated with. You're seeing here the same approach. Put him under house arrest. I think we lost connection.
Yeah, we're right here. We're hearing you.
Something is wrong whenever I go on the internet goes.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you lost contact there just now.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Yes, I was saying, Mark, we've seen the same approach. You put him under house arrest, one, then you say the police complaint authority will look at it, but you are not doing a proper investigation. What should have happened here is that the criminal investigation department should launch a proper criminal investigation into this execution. What you're seeing is the normal approach in which you buy time with the hope that people will cool down and then it will die. And that is what we have to guard against, because there will be no justice. When I am through speaking with the family, and so when I go up to Golden Grove, I will again pronounce on this issue. But I am deeply concerned that extrajudicial killings are re-emerging as a norm in the society, and once extrajudicial killings begin to occur like this, there's nothing from stopping it. The other thing I want to say is this: when a regime becomes authoritarian and dictatorial, it needs the police to protect them, and in doing that, they have to turn a blind eye to the atrocities performed by some policemen. And so there is a danger here because the government itself wouldn't be able to do anything, because when they want to use the police as a repressive arm, they will need these same people. And so we're in a dangerous circle, and it has to be dealt with.
You know, Mr. Norton, I know you're preparing to head out there, and we just want you guys to be safe. But quickly before you go, I know you touched on it briefly, but I listened to a clip where the acting commissioner of police, Clifton Hicken, has said to the family that this investigation will be impartial. And that impartial investigation he's talking about will be conducted by the Office of Professional Responsibility that has serving members of the Guyana Police Force there as investigators and former members of the Guyana Police Force. In fact, it is headed by a former senior police officer. Are you confident in the level of impartiality that Mr. Hicken mentioned there of the OPR?
Like I said before, this is a criminal matter, and a proper team should be investigating it. There are always dangers of the police investigating themselves. And so there's a possibility that it can be reviewed at probably at the Caribbean level. But first, there should be a proper criminal investigation, then a report. Then what is needed is for legal action to be taken against the police who find themselves culpable in this matter. But like I've said all the time, the police puts up a facade of investigating itself, and then it will die away. Or they charge somebody and protect them. We cannot afford that. We need a proper investigation. We need the law to take its course. And in the present environment, it doesn't appear that is what will happen.
All right, Mr. Norton, thank you so much for your time. Off topic, I've noticed that gas price gone sky high. Are you concerned at all, obviously?
Not only are we concerned, we'll make some pronouncements on the matter.
All right. Thank you so much. You guys be safe as you head off to Haslington, Golden Grove area. Thank you, Mr. Norton.
Okay, then.
Thanks. All right. That's the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Compton Norton. They are preparing to visit the family members of Mr. Bacchus, who was shot and killed by members of the Guyana Police Force. The people out in Haslington are protesting. The people out in Golden Grove are protesting. They want justice. They're not breaking up anything, right? And I've noticed that the usual suspects, so to speak, the usual suspects, are out in full swing because they are concerned. They are concerned, mind you, that when we come out, right, Francine Cruz and others, when we come out and we seek justice for people, then we are being accused of all manner of things. But look, I've been around long enough that I'm not too bothered about those sort of things. I know the usual Pacus will do and say whatever they have to say to distract us, right? And then they usually have some of them get elements of emotional distress and all manner of things, crying out for attention and these sort of things. I'm not too bothered about that. We have a bigger fishes to fry. We should focus on that big fish that we need to fry. We'll be right back.
All the evidence that you find into the police complaint authority will need that. And so the investigation commenced.
You know the same guy that shoot Christophe that shoot Quindon. You know that he and Quindon had a beef in James Bond that he go with shoot Quindon already.
In the investigation. So
and
avail
next
yourself.
officer
Just avail yourself to give these type of information in writing, and so it can aid in.
What happened Saturday?
And Saturday that the police are shooting in the village, people is shopping in the market, kids are chilling in the street, and then shooting behind the next police officer. Why these things must be happening in this country? In this country, Guyana, why these things must be happening?
The Afro Guyanese community.
It's not supposed to be happening.
I'm
Why these things supposed to be happening? The police shooting behind the next police officer.
I've been going around to all the communities to build a bridge between the public and the community. I'm going to leave
No,
my
it's
number.
not a public infrastructure and behavior we are trying to we listening.
All right.
We out here.
All I'm
And
saying,
we acting of what present.
I'm going to leave my
We acting
number.
like where the guy at present.
Which guy?
Who shot Quinn down?
The police is under close arrest.
Close arrest where? At home or the at home?
At home or you have a police station?
At home. Alright, hold on. Wait, hold on.
I'm gonna leave my number so you can make contact with me.
Yeah.
And we can speak. 600. 600.
Yeah. 600.
Forever ring. 600. The number of forever ring. 600. 3019.
Chicken is my name.
Right?
I know you're calling me a different name just a minute.
Yeah.
I know that.
Give it touch it.
We want justice. 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 Jordan. We need to get Jordan. We want to
So the Commissioner of Police
All right.
promising an investigation.
Welcome back. I just got off the phone with the acting commissioner of police. He's currently in a meeting. He's promised to be on with us. I don't know if it's going to be today or whenever, but I did ask 2 questions quickly pertaining to his fate in this impartial investigations that he promised the people. And he did say that the Office of Professional Responsibility deals with the breach of SOPs. Sorry. And not the SOPs that you guys are accustomed hearing, but standard operation procedures, right? And that is what OPR will be dealing with. That's according to the acting top cop. I just got off the phone with him. And he expects that there will be indeed an impartial investigations. And again, the acting top cop knows that I've been around on the block for a while. I've dealt with him on numerous occasions, and I've been dealing with him for years to understand what is happening here. The people want justice. I did ask him as to whether this perception is not looking good in terms of an impartial investigations. Now, the acting commissioner of police mentioned the police complaint authority, and that the police complaint authority will be dealing with the criminal aspect, the criminal investigations of this. Now, the police complaints authority would have to wait until, I believe, I hope that this is how I see it. We'll have to wait until the OPR investigations is completed. Then the police complaints authority will start their investigations. And the Police Complaints Authority, there's a constitutional issue there. They're understaffed, and I'm not sure whether the man who heads that Police Complaint Authority, who heads that agency, has had his contract renewed. That agency has to be headed by a former judge. Of course, you know, it was headed for so many years by the late Justice Cecil Kennard. He's died. He's dead now, so the issue is dead. I wouldn't say much as to how I believe that he ran that agency, which I wouldn't give him a good score there at all. But it is currently headed by another former judge by the name of William Ramlal. Mr. Ramlal is heading that agency. Again, I say I don't know if his contract has been renewed. They hardly have staff members there to conduct investigations. He has, or the agency has in the past, not so distant future, did say that they need investigators. So if you have an agency as important as the Police Complaints Authority, that they do not have a proper staff, they do not have proper investigators, then the question is now, here is the question. Will there be an impartial investigations? Would you have confidence in the Police Complaints Authority to conduct an impartial investigation? Would you have confidence in the Office of Professional Responsibility for an impartial investigations? The majority of you guys will not have confidence. And not only based on the fact that these agencies are staffed by former judicial officers or former members of the Guyana Police Force, is that we look at past. How have they handled past cases? The recent past, they've dealt with Orrin Boston's issue. And then there was another young man not so long ago that the police shot in his own car from the back. All these manner of things. Yet they want people, yet they want citizens to have confidence in the Guyana Police Force. Yet they expect citizens to have confidence in an impartial investigations conducted by two questionable agencies, the Office of Professional Responsibilities and the PCA, which is the Police Complaints Authority. And then when the Police Complaints Authority gives its finding to the DPP, then this is how complicated it is. The DPP has to wait now for the PCA. The PCA will carry on or conduct, either wait until the OPR has concluded or they work simultaneously. And then the OPR will have to give its findings to the legal advisor of the Guyana Police Force. You see the complications there. And then the PCA will send its recommendations to, guess where? The PCA, the Police Complaints Authority, will send its recommendations to the DPP to await now further advice from the Director of Public Prosecutions. The legal advisor of the Guyana Police Force will have to also send that file to the DPP's chambers. When it reaches the DPP chambers, here is how they stymie the process. They will send back the file, and this is where the complication starts, and this is where suspicions starts to grow. They will send the file back to the PCA for further investigations, and they will send the file back to the OPR through the legal advisor of the police force for further investigations, just as they have done to the Boston, just as they have done, to numerous other investigations that they were able to stymie the process. This investigations into the shooting death of Mr. Bacchus will not be a clear-cut case. They are going to make it complicated. They are going to prolong this situation. And they are going to say that they have conflicting reports coming from witnesses. Some of the witnesses, the police will say they cannot find, or this person said something and they got to go and look for the person again and the person just disappears. We see it all of the time. All of the time, we see it. So, should the people have confidence in an impartial investigations? Based on experiences, based on how these folks who head these agencies operate, I would say that I will be surprised if there is swift justice. There is already a situation where they're attempting to cover up this matter. Let the chips fall where they may. Let the evidence present itself, and that those agencies actually, maybe for the first time, conduct a proper and an impartial investigations. And hopefully the wisdom and the impartiality at the DPP chambers can, once and for all, operate in the interest of justice for those who are seeking justice, and not for the rich and famous and questionable characters in society who hold high offices. But then again, it's Guyana, right? It's Guyana we're living in. I'm pleased that the leader of the opposition is on his way, hopefully with his team. Better late than never, right? But he's on his way to speak with the family members of Mr. Bacchus. If we do get that report that when he touches down in Golden Grove, we will carry it right here on 107.1 FM. But for now, we'll go. We'll be back. Like I've said, once there's a live coverage of the leader of the opposition, hopefully he can pick up Ramjatan on his way and they can have Ramjatan do something for once. God bless you. Continue to pray for family members of Bacchus and another youngster who was shot also in Sophia. Lots of shooting incidents across the country. Dark days have returned to Guyana. Compliments of this installed PPP regime. And hopefully those in the diplomatic quarters, especially those who oftentimes love to talk about elections and transparency and democracy and so forth, they can at least talk about human rights violations and the increase of such violations under the installed PPP regime. This is not about an ambassador or a high commissioner wanting to keep his or her job and to extend their time and so forth and so on. It's not about that. It's about justice for the people of Guyana. You know what I mean. God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in, and let us see and hear what the leader of the opposition has to say to the people, the family members of the deceased, Mr. Bacchus. Stay strong, be peaceful, and let us continue on the side of unity, truth, and justice.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockcrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockcrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockcrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame. What a travesty. It calls for us to think and think deep. The stage we are in as a country is not a stage where you become an onlooker. You have become an onlooker for too long. You must get ready to put your hands to the plow and be part of the process. It's not just about PVC, carry PVC. You must be in the kitchen where it is being determined. You must be there where the decisions are being made. If we are there in our numbers, they cannot outnumber us. But you leave it aloof. Oh, no, it's too dirty. It's a dirty game. And then the dirty guy is getting to the game of play. And you are there not showing up. And when they begin to make the decisions, you will know whether it's a dirty game or not. The result is always dirty on yours. Dirty on your health. Dirty on your business. Dirty on your success and your career. I hope that is stirring up something in you.